Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to betus.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
Say Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Say, I love football. Say this. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay. Bay.
A.
Tampa. Tampa. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay. Bay. Oh my God, she's so smart and she's so precious. I love her.
Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Where's Uncle Peter? I call him.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web live here on Amped Up Sports. I love St. Pete and the Hub. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And I know it's been a long time here. We are finally settled into our new surroundings here in Palm Harbor. Thank God for that. Who likes to move? Not me. Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot to all the webheads out there helping me out, by the way. Appreciate it. I know Roger Shue is out there. He wanted to help. But we made it happen. We're here. We're in Palm Harbor, new surroundings. Alexander's out there. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk sports with you. How do we start off this show live on Amped Up Sports? Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. former Coach Scouted Out, media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty on with us. And then at 9:30, we will have Dave Alexander of Night Sports Productions talking about the NBA as the NBA Finals are on. We'll take your phone calls as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Of course, on everybody's mind at this point, I believe, would be the Tampa Bay Lightning. maybe not so much after last night's performance, losing to the New York Rangers 6-2. I love Facebook sometimes because it's so interactive. You get an opportunity to talk to people, and people just lose their minds. My good buddy Ron texts me and says, "What's going on with the Lightning? They're playing terrible tonight. They're playing terrible. 9 days off, rust. And, of course, the Rangers are a pretty good team, right? I mean, they're no slouch at the end of the day. So it's just one game. Everybody relax, as Aaron Rodgers would say, as he won the match last night with Tom Brady. But going back to the Lightning, relax, because game 2 is on Friday night. And we'll see what Vazzy can do. Of course, you don't think he's going to have that type of performance. Of course, the Lightning didn't help anything out in that situation with the turnovers in that game. So you could clearly see the rust. We'll see how that works out at MSG tomorrow night. Of course, what else is on everybody's mind? Tampa Bay Rays win today over the Texas Rangers. Yes! That's good. How about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers making some moves? Akeem Hicks, which, by the way, if you were surprised by that, then you haven't been watching this show. Because my good buddy, and you know who he is, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, has been screaming at the top of the rooftops of how the Bucs were going to let Ndamukong Suh go for Akeem Hicks. And sure enough, just a couple days ago, the Bucs signed him to a 1-year, $10 million contract. So no surprise there. What do you think, Bucs fans? Do you like the upgrade? Do you think it's an upgrade? Does it make this defense championship material? We'll talk with you about that. Also, Devin White comments from the great Leo Haggerty, who interviewed him a little bit, because we're out there with Amped Up Sports. We'll get those. We'll hear what he has to say. We'll go into what Tom Brady had to say. We'll talk NBA basketball finals tonight. Anybody care about the Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics in San Francisco? I did my best. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's get him on. Let's get the legend on. Here we go. The legend himself, from a Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. And I tell you, we said it off air. Could I forget how to do this? Because it's been a little while now. But my friend, you have been working overtime here on Amped Up Sports. Welcome to the evolution.
You know what, Peter? I'm going to get with Trace in the next week or two, and we're going to put up the newsroom backdrop on this. So it's really going to look good. But again, I got to tell a quick story before you go.
Yes.
If you ever ask me to sing on this song, I will on this show, I will respectfully decline, and here's why. When I was in elementary school and in Catholic school, the good sister divided you up into 3 groups. There were the red birds that sang loud, there were the blue birds that sang soft, and there were the green birds that moved their lips. Okay? I was the blackbirds. And sister said, Haggerty, you're a blackbird. I don't even want you to open your mouth because something may come out. In fact, our parish priest said to me one time, Leo, the only time I want you to sing is when there's a fire, because that'll get people to leave.
I tell you what, we're getting a little bit of static, and I don't know why it's doing that. Go ahead, come in and come out. We'll try this again.
All right, here we go.
Well, hold on. Try it. There we go. All right. I can't deal with the static, but sometimes it happens. Like I said, it's live television. We even tested it out before, and it still happens. So I definitely want to hear from you guys tonight. I want to hear what you think about your Tampa Bay Lightning. I want to hear what you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, about the NBA Finals, about Major League Baseball and the Tampa Bay Rays. And like I said, let's go ahead and go out to some of these comments. Let's go out to the tribal troll there, Mr. Roger Shue. Wow, I thought the show got canceled. Welcome back, Peter H. Blake. No show got canceled, but I appreciate you coming on.
Yes!
As always, Roger, how is the new estate? It is nice. I tell you right now, when you can upgrade, when you've got two cool roommates who are sports fans who say, you know what, not only can you have a room here, but you can also have a space not only for your dog, old Alexander, but also an opportunity to do the evolution of sports talk television. And then you get a pool and a hot tub. It's pretty good. So we're doing good here. Great situation. Christopher Cole. Hey, guys, what's going on? Roger Shue, donate to Pete. Help him pay that's big new rent. Let's go out to Leo Haggerty. Let's try this again. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Is that any better, Peter?
That's a lot better, my friend.
You know what it is? Here's what we need to do.
Yes.
I need to come in before the show and then get the static out of the way and come back in. What do you
That's
think?
what we did. I mean, we did that before, and it was fine. And for some reason, when we start off the show, that's how it goes. But like I always tell
I'm just an electric personality, Peter.
I'm telling you, you are an electric personality. My mom was telling me off air the other night, he goes live more than you do. And I'm like, hey, there you go. I created a monster right there, but nobody created a legend like Leo Haggerty. Let's talk about this game last night. Disappointing to a lot of Lightning fans. In fact, to talk to one Lightning fan, like I said, Ron, in the chat, and he was just kind of, well, what's going on here? Bad effort. Go ahead, make some sense of this Lightning loss to the New York Rangers last night, 6-2.
Peter, I want people to remember three things. First, a playoff series doesn't start until the visiting team wins a game. This is why you've had so many game sevens this year, because the home team has been able to hold serve. I mean, it's been the modus operandi of the New York Rangers.
Listen to you.
Again, hold on, and then win game seven. Okay, great. Second thing, all right. Remember what happened in the Toronto series. They got down 5-0 in the first game, got blasted. How'd that one turn out, huh? Okay.
Yes.
And here's the third one. Vasilevsky's going to have one or two clunkers. Does anybody think he's going to have 4? Not a chance. Again, I'm sticking with Tampa Bay in 6.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay in 6. And again, they got a challenge here. They got the kid line. They got Hedl last night, who scored 2 goals in the second period, 17 shots. Even Stammer talked about it today. I believe it was also Hedman that talked about it, not only the turnovers, but Hedman, you can't have 17 shots on Vasilevsky. I get it. He's probably, according to New York fans, Igor is better than him, and I think that's going to come back to haunt him. But at the end of the day, we all know Vazzy is the best goalie in the world, but even he being the best goalie in the world, you cannot leave wide open guys there to get wide open shots, and 17 shots in general. So that's got to improve in game 2.
Yeah, and it will, Peter. It's the hardest thing, and I'm going to go back to the analogy of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first time they played the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season, they tried to figure out how fast Tyreek Hill was on film. Well, guess what? They didn't figure it out. And I asked their defensive backs, point blank, was Tyreek Hill faster than what you thought on film? He said, absolutely. I said, how much of an advantage is it now playing him in the Super Bowl, knowing what he can do? He said, phenomenal. So, yeah, that's the thing. They didn't have a look at the Rangers in probably, 2-3 months. So, again, that's something they had to deal with and come out. And, Peter, 9 days gives you rust. But it's also when you get to game 5, 6, and 7 will help you out because you're rested.
Yeah, you're rested at the end of the day. And, again, I think Braden Point's going to make an impact in this series. Second straight day he skated. I mean, we get it. It's a lower body injury. You're not really sure what the status is. But, is there some hope here? You think that he'll play eventually, possibly the next game or game 3? Put your doctor hat on here. I know that you may play one on TV, but where do you think what do you think his status is coming into this series?
Well, hold on. Let me check with Dr. Amori here.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, here's Dr. Amori back in. Dr. Amori has joined the show. Peter, if they lose, I don't think he'll play game 2.
Okay.
If they lose game 2, you may see a quicker recovery in game 3 or 4. If they win game 2, I think he sits for 3 or 4. Only because, again, it's going 5 at least. And I don't think they want to rush him back. They're thinking long term. Okay, we're going to need him against Colorado and Edmonton. And Peter, I'm going to throw this out now. And
Sure.
again, you know me, I'm a conspiracy theory guy.
I love it.
TV does not want any parts of a Tampa Bay Edmonton final. They don't think they'll see any eyeballs. TV wants Colorado and the New York Rangers. Why?
Sure.
Biggest TV market in the world, right there, New York. And Colorado is the highest scoring team in the NHL this year. Edmonton, it'll bring the Canadian audience, but that doesn't help American TV. So again, Dr. Amore has spoken, and I've given my conspiracy theory.
Very nice. There you go. That's the legend right there. Leo Haggerty of Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go ahead, read some of these comments from Christopher Cole. 9 days off, enough said. Roger Shue says, poor little troll, laugh out loud. Rex Grossman, sexy Rexy, Bears legend. Chirac says, I challenge Jacob Charnow to a celebrity boxing match. I don't know what you have a problem with Jacob for. Of course, he does the Hard Count Football podcast on this channel on Sunday mornings with Harry the Greek. I guess he wasn't reading your stupid comments, but I will give you this. Roger says, you can't because you're not a celebrity. Good comment there. Let me fire the cannons for that. Nobody could stop those wide open shots, says Christopher Cole. Absolutely. Rex Grossman, I still want to knock him out. So he wants to go LL Cool J on Jacob. And why? What did he do? Again, not reading his asinine comments, right? Right?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
There you go, Troy. So with this being said, with this series, besides the turnovers, what else did you see in this game that kind of worried you? I know we're talking about rust, but anything in this game worry you besides, it can be correctable in game 2 and game 3, you think?
You know what, Peter? Kucherov and Stamkos, between them, had 6 point-blank shots at the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they didn't know what Igor was going to do. Now they know. If you noticed that Igor charged the guys in close. I mean, Kucherov got that pass from behind the net, and Igor came right at him.
Sure.
He didn't sit back. What you're going to see now is probably a second pass because they know he's coming out. They're going to try to get behind him. So, again, I think you'll see that. I think, Peter, you'll see a lot more defensive input by the Lightning.
Sure.
And just it was crazy. The first Western Finals, 8-6, and it was like a shooting gallery in there.
Right.
And I just don't think you're going to see these high-scoring games in the East. And again, they had a great statistic up there last night.
Sure.
Vasilevsky, in I think the last
17 games, and this has been pointed out by the great TJ Reeves on Twitter because there was a New York media member saying, let's not lose the narrative here. The Rangers beat the Lightning. It's not the Lightning, lost the game or lost it. It's some narrative being thrown out there that the Rangers are a better team than the Lightning and they played better. They did play better, but still at the end of the day, 9 days off. At the end of the day, 17 straight victories after a loss by Vasilevsky. So to me, I think it's going to be 18 tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. And again, Peter, you and I have talked about this. It just seems like he draws a line behind him and says, the puck ain't getting over there.
Right.
It's not getting over there. I mean, we witnessed greatness in game, 4 against Florida, the highest scoring team in the NHL. He makes 49 saves in regulation.
Amazing.
Have there been more saves? Yeah, there's been 50, 60, 70, but they've all been in overtime. That was the most shutout saves in a regular season NHL playoff game in the history of the league.
Yeah.
As Ira Kaufman would say, puts him in some tall cotton there.
Oh, it definitely does at the end of the day. And I feel like, again, that chant by the New York crowd. And I get it. They're New Yorkers. Everything is great with New York besides, the Rangers not being able to win a cup since 1994. But, neither here nor there. It's the 2-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning.
Peter, you know what we need to see?
What's
Let's
up?
see how New York reacts after they lose a game.
Right. I like to see that.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's been there, done that for 2.5 years.
Right.
And think about Pat Maroon.
Yeah.
He's done it for 3.5 years. He's won 14 straight series.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, I don't care who is the general manager, what team. I'm trying to get Pat Maroon next year. He's like the Lucky Charm leprechaun. Wherever he goes, the cup follows.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. One of our favorite web heads of this show. It's been a long time, my friend Curtis. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend Leo Haggerty. What do you have to say about the Lightning, about the Bucks? It's open for you on this Thursday night special edition of the Sports Web. Go.
Well, the first thing is the Lightning were super rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, 9 days off, that's a long time.
It's a long time, right?
That's a very long time. And you know what? They still went out there and they played a pretty good game. I mean,
yeah,
stuff happens.
Look, they had chances in this game. I mean, it's not like it was, a blowout by the Rangers. I mean, Kucherov here, Hedman hits the post. Maybe this is tied up or the Lightning take the lead 3-2. There were chances here, but at the end of the day, Igor is one of the best goalies in the world. He is. He's not the best, but he is one of the best. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I mean, Stamkos and Kucherov played their hearts out last night.
Sure.
They did. They did.
Sure.
But, I mean, 9 days off. Come on. That's long for anything. Listen, I worked in the kitchen all my life. Okay. You take 7 days off in the kitchen. It takes you a day or two to get your footing back in, man. Because
you know what, Curtis? I'll ask you a question. Who was the guy who was the rustiest, do you think?
I think it's Vasilevsky. I think everybody.
I'm going to agree with Peter. Vasilevsky needs to work. Curtis, would you agree?
He probably was at home boozing it up for a couple days.
Easy now. Come on. Let's not put that out there.
No, I ain't saying he's an alcoholic.
Right.
But they listen.
Hey, he's right.
I'm not trying to bash anybody, but even though we have medical drugs out here, you can't test positive for any of those drugs. So the only thing you can do is to go home and have a shot or two.
I knew it was
or
Curtis.
3 or 4, however many you need.
I knew Curtis was going to bring pharmaceuticals in this conversation.
Hey, Curtis, I got to ask you a question because I'm going to cover this tonight on my After Midnight National Sports Roundup. Marion Barber, former Cowboys running back, found dead in his apartment in Frisco. Terrible thing, isn't it?
Now, listen, I heard about that. Could you tell me what happened? Because I haven't read in much on it.
There's
unknown.
There's unknown at this point. We don't know what and it's sad. Of course, there was another kid. Just a kid, 25 years old.
Yeah, he played for the Vikings, right?
Played for the Vikings and also
Jeff Gladney.
Yep, Gladney.
But now I'm gonna say this because I know you guys are huge sports fans. I'm not gonna call you guys football fans. Y'all are sports fans.
Thank you.
I love sport. I watched the match last night. I was in here dying watching Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers at Allen and Mahomes last night. I was in here. I love when Rodgers was like Tom Brady's varicose veins were hiding or whatever it was. Anyway, going back to it, it's been so many young kids.
Yes.
In the last 2 or 3 years that have been dying. Yeah. Even going back to Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson wasn't an old man.
No.
Vincent Jackson was a young man.
Yeah.
Demaryius Thomas died in the shower from a seizure. He's a young man.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy like what is going on in professional sports nowadays.
I got 3 letters for you, Curtis. CTE.
Well, not only CTE,
that's going to show up
right
in a lot of these.
Well, not only CTE, but look, at the end of the day, let's be realistic about this. Ali Marpet walks away from how many millions of dollars wins a championship, and retires. Why? Because, the quality of life is not the best when it comes to being an NFL football player. Now,
you look at him,
right,
Patrick Willis.
Right. To some of these cases, we don't know about Gladney. We don't know what happened there. Haskins, tragically, it's certain that now I
was proud of even though he's a Panther, I was proud of Luke Kinkley to walk away.
Right.
Because you could see the pain in that guy's eyes to walk away from the game. Him and quarterback for the Colts, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck didn't walk away from the game.
Sure.
And you know what, Curtis?
These guys love to play the game.
Yeah. Luke Kinkley was the premier middle linebacker in the NFL at the time he walked away. You can ask any Buccaneer player that at least 50% of the time he would be calling out the play just by reading formation and what kind of package they had on the field. And I talked to players and said, I'm sitting there and he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I hated the guy, but I had all the respect in the world for the way he played the game.
Yeah. And he got passed over by the Bucs, let's be honest.
Yep.
He led the ACC in tackles at Boston College with 14 a game. Now, there's two things you want to look at when you're drafting players, okay? Who leads their league in tackles and who leads their league in rushing yards? Yep. You look in the Big Ten, you look in the Pac-12, you look there, you're going to get a pretty good running back if they lead the league in rushing yards. Look at the kid at Michigan State. He's going to do really well with Seattle.
Look at Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor didn't go.
Don't get me started on Jonathan Taylor.
This guy right here was screaming at the top of the rooftops, just like Harry the Greek was about Akeem Hicks. He was saying it.
I remember the draft day. I remember the leading up to the draft. I was watching, and him and Harry were pounding the table for Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
I remember.
I was screaming, move up, take Jonathan Taylor. And here's the thing. Everybody says, and I love Merle Hodges' answer to Ron Jaworski on this. Merle Hodges and Ron were talking about this. They were talking about fumbles. And Merle said, hey, you're going to fumble. It's part of being an NFL running back. And Ron goes, oh, you're condoning that? And Merle had the greatest answer I ever heard. He goes, you want to have a running back not fumble? Make him a left guard. That's the truth. And they talked about Jonathan Taylor, how he had an issue with fumbles. He fumbled 6 times his senior year. At Wisconsin, that means you're carrying it 300 plus times a season, and you fumble it once every 50 plays. I'll take that, and twice on Sunday.
Of course. And the guy, people will say, well, the carries and all this other stuff, it's going to come back and haunt him. At the end of the day, nobody could deny that he was the MVP.
What did he run for in college? Like 6,800 yards?
Yeah.
Something stupid.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
and see, the don't get me wrong. It really bothers me when I'm watching the draft and these guys are like, oh, his body's beat up. He ran for 7,000 yards. And the science and the thing and the healthy ways that these kids live their life now. Look at Tom Brady, man. This guy's 45 years old, man.
Yes.
And he's still out there.
He's never been hit.
To me, he's never been hit. And
if he got hit the way they hit Cam Newton, Brady would have retired at 13.
Of course, but guess what? Because he doesn't put himself in there. I remember, and I don't like. Listen, I'll talk about this. Eli Manning's last couple years, you couldn't get close to Eli. Eli fall down.
Yep.
You couldn't get near him.
Hey, surrender to play another play. Exactly.
That's it. Really quick, Curtis, we got to run here, but use that second call because we're going to have our NBA guy coming on here talking about the finals.
That's what I'm watching right now.
Okay, listen. Akeem Hicks signed by the Bucs yesterday. 1 year, $10 million. Of course, Greg Allman broke it down from The Athletic. It's about $8 million, $2 million with incentives. Is that an upgrade? Do you like it? 29 games missed in the last 3 years, but he's younger than Ndamukong Suh. What do you think about the move by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I'm going to say this. It's a good move because he's going to be a rotational player. You're going to be able to stick him in next to Vita and Golston and the kid we drafted from
Logan Hall. Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
So you're going to be able to rotate these players. He's not going to have to play all the snaps he was playing when he was in, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to have to play all of those snaps, and he's going to come in and Todd Bowles is going to do what he's going to have to do with his defense. Is it an upgrade over Sue? We don't know yet. The season hasn't started yet.
What do you think? Do you think it's an upgrade? I mean, can the guy stay healthy? He's what, 32 years old?
Like I said, we'll see at the end of the season.
Okay.
Because I know me and you, Peter, we had this argument with Harry. He was like, well, Sue's over the hill. Sue had 6 sacks.
Correct.
And Sue was a great run stopper for that Buccaneers defense. And he wasn't there to produce sacks, but he did his job. And Harry just doesn't like Sue. That's all.
No, Harry doesn't like Sue, but Harry was right. I'll definitely give him his props. Curtis, thanks a lot for the call. Let me go ahead and give you the woo. Let me give you a fire the cannons.
Later, man.
Definitely call back later, my friend. All right.
Hey, Peter, I'm running out of juice on the phone. I'm going to run upstairs and grab a charger and be right back. So,
all right. Sounds good, my friend. There you go. Leo Haggerty out. So we'll go back to him. Let's go back out to the comments. It's so nice to be back, isn't it? I mean, it's been a long time. What has it been? 2 weeks, I think. I mean, that's what happens when you move. You got to move around. You got to unpack. You got to pack. Packing, I hate. You got to move couches and beds and this and that. But we're here for you talking sports. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So we'll get Leo back on here in just a little bit. Let's go out to these comments. Everyone keeps leaving Chicago because they don't believe in Justin Fields. And, you've been on this narrative, Troy, about Justin Fields. I don't think his body will work right now. I think you're being a little bit too hard on the kid. Just saying. I do. And I think the reason why you do it is because you're trying to piss off Roger and Harry. That's what I think you're trying to do. So, Troy, no more bashing Jay Fields or I'm boxing you. What is that? What is it? Buy ammo? What are you talking about, Roger? Rex says, let's talk Bucs football. We don't care about hockey in Florida. They do care about hockey in Florida, Michael Wilbon. Of course they do. What are you talking about?
Shut up!
It's the 2-time Stanley Cup champion, so we will definitely give them time here as we cover them on Amped Up Sports on the Sports Web. I'd rather watch women's softball than any NBA game. Laugh out loud. Christopher Cole. Roger says, Troy, you are a Lightning fan. Rex again. Blackhawks, baby. Roger, drugs killing them off. And I tell you what, I think this is Mr. Dave Alexander. Let's see if we can go out to him. Dave, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend here, Leo Haggerty. Let me see if I can get back Leo here. There's Leo. And, of course, all eyes tonight will be on San Francisco as the Golden State Warriors are taking on the Boston Celtics. Your thoughts? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Thank you, Peter. It's good to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And what are you thinking about this series? I mean, kind of a surprise, if you will. Boston makes some big trades during midseason, 33-25. Golden State just a couple years ago loses a superstar in Kevin Durant, and now they're back in the finals, and everybody's talking about dynasty with this team, and even greatest of all time and Stephon Curry. I get it. He's a great player during his generation, but greatest of all time. I mean, come on. What do you see coming out of this series, Dave?
Well, I think you see two organizations that were committed to success. They did it in different sorts of ways, but we look at the past 2 years where the Warriors really struggled, lots of injuries and losing Klay Thompson and being eclipsed by the Suns and some other teams. But they really kind of stuck to the plan, and getting the three guys back together again was really important, but also supplementing them with Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney and Gary Payton II, some of these other guys as well, too. For the Celtics, again, I think it was a recognition that they had to do the things which great Celtics teams have done for many years. Number one, defense, and number two, getting these guys to commit to playing with each other. I have to admit, I was quite surprised when Brad Stevens stepped into this personnel role. I didn't think that was going to work, and it's been really surprising, and it's really nice to see two teams that stick to an idea and have it work for them, even though they did it in different sorts of ways.
And really, it's not a surprise because at the end of the day, the teams that usually make the finals are the defensive-led teams, and that's why the Celtics are there, of course, with the emergence of not only Jaylen Brown, but, of course, I'm trying to think of the kid's name right now. It escapes me.
Marcus Smart?
Well, not only him, the defensive player of the year, but also
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. How could I forget his name? Of course, looking up to Kobe Bryant. I mean,
That's why you have me on the show, Peter. I'm the wingman.
There you go. These players right here, especially Tatum, an emerging superstar right before our eyes, right?
Yeah, but again, I think the commitment to defense. Defense is one of those things. Again, we all talk about it winning championships. Players have to really commit to playing defense. And I think when they made certain decisions, Robert Williams really, I think, progressed for them along the way. Getting Horford back, I think, was really important too. Horford's value, much like some of the other players in this series, doesn't always show up in the box scores, but Horford was never afraid to guard the best players. He hounded Kevin Durant in the net series. So, yeah, I mean, you get that sort of team commitment to defense. And I think we sort of underrate Golden State's defense because we're always talking about the scoring as well, too. I think Steph Curry's become a better defensive player. He's never going to be a great defensive player, but a better defensive player than the past. Again, I think this is one of the great values of Draymond Green as another guy who'll cover anybody from 1 to 5. And I think Kevon Looney, both as a great defender and a great defensive rebounder, I think that's really made the Warriors the kind of team that we looked at before, although they've changed over the past couple of years.
You know, David, two things. You got to be happy for Horford. 145 playoff games before he gets to the big dance. That's great. And the second thing, Wiggins has become a really good defender at Golden State, correct?
There's another good example, Leo. You're absolutely right with a guy who, and again, Wiggins came out, he was the number 1 pick when he came out of Kansas. A lot of things were expected from him. Getting a second chance, I think, was really important. Yeah, but again, you got to commit to playing defense. It's not something most guys really want to do. It isn't the thing that gets you paid in most cases. But both these teams are here because they play good defense. And and Horford, again, we forget that Al Horford, 2-time NCAA basketball champion. He was the anchor of a team that won back-to-back championships when he was at Florida. So
yes.
Always a guy who's been willing to do the sort of stuff that you need to do to win. And he's certainly done that very well this year.
You know, David, I'm gonna come out honestly and say, before it started, I picked the Suns in Milwaukee again. When Milwaukee lost Middleton, that became a big issue. And when the Suns started to get banged up and had to go to Game 7, they just ran out of gas. Would you agree with both of those statements?
Well, I would certainly agree with Milwaukee losing Middleton. I think that was and the fact that Milwaukee played as well as they did without Middleton through the playoffs is a testament to their team and to how great Giannis Antetokounmpo really is. The Phoenix thing, I think there's something going on in Phoenix which is not readily apparent to all of us. Again, Chris Paul getting hurt again, but I think Phoenix sort of got punched in the mouth and didn't really respond in the way I thought we expected them to respond. And DeAndre Ayton disappeared in the last game, and that's not supposed to happen. To me, he's a quality big man, but for some reason, that's not working for him in Phoenix. So the Middleton thing was a huge loss for Milwaukee, but I think there's something else going on in Phoenix that they're going to need to work out because they certainly have the talent. Again, the best record of the regular season, but it just didn't show itself very well in the playoffs. And once again, Chris Paul without a championship.
And we're on with Dave Alexander here of Night Sports Productions on the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty of Amped Up Sports. Let's talk about that matchup. Marcus Smart, of course, the defensive player of the year. Can he shut down a Curry? And then if he does, who does Golden State go to in this series?
Well, I don't think he's going to, shut down Steph Curry. I'm not sure about that. To be honest, Curry has not had the greatest playoffs to begin with as well, too. He's played well, but his numbers are down both for shooting and particularly three-point shooting as well, too. So, but again, I think here's where Klay Thompson, who's always been a great playoff performer, shows up. Here's where Wiggins plays well. Golden State is a deeper team. Again, we sort of focus on the big three, but they're a much deeper team. They've got Poole, they've got Payton, they've got Wiggins. They've got talent. I think the one place where they need to be kind of careful is not to get beat up on the boards because Looney really is the tallest guy they have. And I think between Williams and Horford, that where I think the series might be determined is the ability of Golden State to be active on the boards. They don't have to dominate the boards, but active on the boards. Marcus Smart's one of my favorite players in the NBA. He always has been. And a guy who kind of called out his teammates earlier in the season, and I think a lot of things changed for the Celtics when that happened as well, too. I think Smart will do a good job against Curry. Curry will have his 1 or 2 games where he'll be really explosive, but I don't think the Warriors can just count on Steph Curry to be great to win this series. They're going to have to get contributions from a bunch of people. Klay Thompson, for me, is really the key to this series for Golden State. If he plays like he played in the last game, I think Golden State's going to win this thing in maybe 6 games.
And really, the story to me also in this series is the playoff experience by Golden State compared to Boston, who basically has no one at this point. So is that the biggest key with their experience there? Having a Klay Thompson, of course, a Curry, and a Draymond Green, and, of course, one of the best coaches, I think, not only this generation, but of all time, and Steve Kerr. I mean, to me, a lot of people are comparing him to Greg Popovich, and they're comparing this team, if you will, to the San Antonio Spurs. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point. Again, though, that Golden State can fall back in their experience. You've got enough guys. You've got a core of guys there who've been through the good times, and quite frankly, the last 2 years, the bad times as well, too. So they can certainly fall back on that. Yeah, Kerr's a great coach, And again, I think we sort of underestimate him, again, because of all that talent that's there, too. But their ability to kind of hold his team together over the past couple of years, making good personnel decisions. It's interesting. And again, 2 coaches that were both under the wing of Greg Popovich. I'm a Udoka, a Portland kid, by the way, too. I need to give a shout out to Portland, Oregon. He was born and raised in Portland, went to Portland State. He was actually on the Trailblazers for a short period of time. You can see the influence of Greg Popovich in a variety of ways. Both of these guys are in the positions they're in now because they were exposed to Greg Popovich.
Leo.
You know what, Dave? I got to ask you, and I know this is painful, your beloved Knicks, did they take a step forward or a step backward this year?
You do this every time we talk, Leo. You have to hurt me in some sort of a way.
I know. I got to pain you. I got to stick that knife in and turn.
They're in this odd position, like a lot of NBA teams where, they had these sort of faint hopes for a lottery pick, and that didn't happen. So, what's the draft choice really work? Who can we trade? They've got to get rid of Kemba Walker. They've got to get rid of Jalen Rose. I don't know. They seem to have their eyes on the guard from Dallas, kid from Villanova, the guard from Dallas. I'm blanking on his name. But
Brunson?
yeah,
Brunson?
Yeah, thanks. Brunson seems to be what they're looking for. Cuban says he's going to resign Brunson, but Brunson seems to be at least part of what they're looking for as well, too. The big issue for them is what to do with Julius Randle, who, after having an all-star year, sort of reverted to the mean and was very unhappy with the fact that he was getting booed in New York. If you come to New York, you're going to get booed. I don't know what he was thinking, but he signed for 3 more years, $140 million. So, there are a host of problems the Knicks have, as usual. A host of problems the Knicks have. Let's just leave it at that. Before I start crying, let's just leave it at that.
You know what, David? I got to ask you one other thing.
Yes.
Is Golden State 1 or 2 injuries away from having 5 championships right now?
Well, I think, I think we can look back. I think they certainly look back and see it that way. And again, losing both Durant and Thompson in the Toronto series certainly hurt them as well, too. But again, I think, and this sort of goes back to what we talked about earlier, you got to go through that. Great organizations go through that. I mean, one of the last time the Celtics, 2010, the last time the Celtics were in this position they're in now. And again, you go to the organizational decisions that were made by the Warriors as an organization. They could have blown this team up after the Toronto loss, probably. And,
sure.
You lose Klay Thompson for an extra year after that. And James Wiseman, their first-round pick 2 years ago, still hasn't played for them yet. So, but they made some smart decisions along the way. They were patient with Poole. They've been patient with Kevon Looney. Wiggins, I think, has been a real plus for them as well, too. So, yeah, maybe you're 1 or 2 injuries away, but I think they didn't dwell on that. They realized, look, we got to go forward. We can't do anything about the past. And here they are, back in the finals.
Yeah, here you are, back in the finals. Yeah, go ahead, Leo. I'm sorry.
David, you talk about Wideman. Has this NBA now in 2022, has it just ignored the big man? That if you can't shoot that 3, you're not going to play?
Well, I think this is why Wiseman is so intriguing to them, because in the limited time they've seen him, he does all the things you want the modern big man to do. but he hasn't done it long enough, and he hasn't stayed healthy enough. I think you're raising an interesting question, which is why I think this will be his third year coming up, and I think this is why the Warriors got to make a decision after the third year. Is there a second contract with this kid? They won't know until he plays. So, yeah, the traditional big man that we grew up with, that's sort of a thing in the past. The only guy who's sort of in that position for me is DeAndre Ayton with Phoenix, and then Phoenix didn't re-sign him. He's a restricted free agent as well too. So, yeah, the big men we grew up with are gone, but do you have enough other things you do as a big man which make you a sort of a viable candidate? I think also for Wiseman, because he's surrounded by so much other talent, he doesn't have to be the guy, okay? He's got to rebound. He's got to defend. He's got to develop some sort of an outside shot, but he doesn't have to be the guy. The problem, again, for the Warriors is they haven't seen that guy over the past 2 years. I'm sure they're hoping they see him in the future. And, yeah, this next year, 3 years is sort of the key. This would be the key to see if he's what they say he is because he's in this third year.
Speaking of big men, Juwan Howard turns down the Lakers for their job. I was surprised by it because I thought he would be their number one priority at the end of the day, with him being familiar with parties and Rob Pelinka and LeBron James. Are you surprised he turned them down? And what do you think about the move of Darvin Ham being their new coach?
I was kind of surprised, but I think at the same time, the Lakers' job is not a very attractive job.
Is that a disaster? I mean, you're talking about Russell Westbrook, who was just absolutely terrible. You knew before the season that the Lakers had trouble with shooting from the perimeter. You got to have guys that shoot from the perimeter. To me, Westbrook is not going to be a fit there. LeBron James is getting older. I get it. He put up some good numbers, but he's getting older by every year here. I mean, and the roster just doesn't have the young talent at the end of the day, and also the shooting. So if I'm a young coach, I mean, really, you're right. Do you really want to take that job? And if you're the Lakers at this point, Dave, and you're the general manager, where do you go from here?
Well, I think it goes back to what we talked about before with organizations. I think there's a larger problem with the Lakers. And again, you mentioned Westbrook. That's the number one problem. But it's also a symbol of the fact that they don't really seem to have any idea about what they want their team to look like. The Westbrook thing was a bad idea from the jump. And they're going to pay him $40 million next year because he's going to take the option. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. LeBron is getting miles on him. Name another player on the team after that. Carmelo Anthony was invisible for them this year. So they've got to make some hard decisions that doesn't start with Darvin Ham. I think the problem is Darvin Ham might prove to be a good coach and will still get fired in the next 2 or 3 years because there's too many parts that just don't fit with this team. And until they work out the front office stuff, there are a bunch of issues that the Lakers have that Darvin Ham can't solve, that Darvin Ham and LeBron James can't solve, to be quite honest. And I think, we'll have exciting moments this year, but they're a third or fourth place team in the West again. You got Memphis coming on. Golden State will still be good. Phoenix will make something work for them.
Minnesota's going to be tough
right now. So.
And Minnesota's going to be tough too, right, Dave?
Exactly. So here's where the organizational issues showed themselves this year. They got an old team that doesn't play defense with a guy who thinks he's got to get a triple-double every night, and it ain't working for them.
Yeah.
You know what, David? I don't know if you saw the interview that Charles Barkley did with Dan Patrick, but Charles, he shoots straight from the hip. And Charles said, what made me a great pro was Moses Malone said I was fat and I was lazy. He forced me to lose 50 pounds. Should Charles Barkley get in the room with Zion and say, hey, pal, this is what you need to do?
Well, the game has changed. So, in fact, you were the first person. I tell the story all the time. Leo was living in South Carolina at the time, and he called me one night and said, there's this fat kid down here in Auburn who's beating the hell out of Sam Bowie at Kentucky. And Leo was talking about Charles Barkley. It's sort of a different time. I think first of all, is Zion Williamson willing to commit to New Orleans? If he's willing to do that first, then I think we can have that next conversation then too. If not, and he's an extremely talented player, but he's going to be an extremely talented NBA player. We don't know that yet. We don't know that. And I think the whole sort of, point forward thing with him, they've got D'Angelo Russell, they got CJ McCollum. Zion Williamson should not be handling the ball on that team. So that's the first decision I have to make with him. So his weight is certainly part of the issue, but I think his overall game and what that game looks like, again, in today's NBA, we don't know that. We just don't know that.
Right.
We were enticed by the promise of Zion Williamson, and for 40 games last year, we saw it. Well, now we've had a year we didn't see it at all. So what Zion Williamson are we going to get next year? I'm interested really to see if he commits. He says he wants to come back and play in New Orleans. I'm interested to see if that actually happens. I don't think that's a done deal. I really don't. And New Orleans showed they can get to the playoffs without him. So, you're not irreplaceable, Zion. Nobody is.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Orlando Magic. They win the draft lottery there. Lots of promise. A lot of people pointing to Chet Holmgren of Gonzaga being the number one pick because the personnel there, the organization, the people that are in charge have taken a Greek freak. But to me, it's Jabari Smith out of Auburn should be the pick. Where do you see the Magic going, and who should they select in your opinion?
I would take Jabari Smith personally. I think he's more ready right now to help that team win. Got to see Holmgren a lot out here in the Northwest play. He had moments when you were seeing things you did not see from a player of that size. And I'm including Giannis and some other folks as well, too. But then he had other games where that just didn't happen for him, too. And I worry, I might be wrong about this. It sort of goes back to Leo's question. I worry about this kid just getting knocked around in the paint. I just, I'm 7'2" jump shooters always make me nervous.
Yeah, and he's 196 pounds, and I get it. People want to talk about potential, but at the end of the day, the Magic, they got an opportunity to get a scorer in Smith who can shoot, who can create. You've already got guys like that in Mo Bamba, who you invested a number one pick in. You also have a guy in Wendell Carter who you got from the Chicago Bulls. So to me, you've got to get the sure thing. Even the kid from Duke, to me, would be a player at the end of the day. But I think you got to go with
Banchero,
yeah.
No, I agree.
You know what, guys? Two words for Chet Holmgren, David, and tell me what you think. Coach Killer.
Well, and again, this is the NBA because now it's money. So it's not just a coach killer. It's an organization killer. If this thing doesn't work, and once again, we look at a guy and we're making decisions, based on what we think future expectations. And again, I'm old, but 7'2" jump shooters always make me nervous. Always make me nervous.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't. Orlando's the closest team to us, and they should probably call them the Mickey Mouses because that's how bad they've been. But I looked at their roster, and they've got a plethora. There's our SAT word, Peter.
Very nice. Very nice.
Of perimeter players between 6'2" and 6'6". Then you got a bunch of bigs. They don't have that long, lengthy scorer that can play both ends of the floor. I think that screams Jabari Smith, don't you?
Yep. Yeah, he's the most out of anybody, and even the kid at Duke, out of anybody coming out of college right now, he's the most what I call pro-ready. He's got the closest game to, and again, we go back to the question before, he's what the modern pro game is going to look like. He can hit the three, but he's not afraid to take the ball to the basket. Pretty good defender. He's got all the things you want. He's played in pressure situations. He knows what big games are. Of course, it's different in the NBA, but no, if I had to pick, I'd take Jabari Smith. Absolutely.
How do you see the Orlando Magic at this point? I mean, what's the future? I mean, they got lots of young talent there. You drafted Jalen Suggs. Again, we talked about Bamba. They haven't really gotten anything out of Jonathan Isaac. I mean, how do you see this Magic team working out? Are they just a couple years away, a year away from competing and being a playoff team, in your opinion?
I was a Jalen Suggs fan. I was actually sorry to see him go to Orlando. How often has Orlando been in this position where they've had like the first or second pick in the lottery? It's been a lot of times, and they just keep spinning their wheels. Tony Kornheiser has this great phrase, the team is 2 years away from being 2 years away. That's the way I look at Orlando. They just can't seem to get out of their own way. And I don't know if Smith is the answer. Again, a lot of talent. But again, what's that sort of mix? What's the thing they're missing? What's that sort of secret sauce that brings the team together? Maybe it's around a player. I think Suggs could be that player who sort of brings them together.
Sure.
But it's hard. This is why basketball is so hard. This is why a lot of people get paid a lot of money to make the sort of decisions that we're talking about here. I'd be surprised if Orlando gets better just because they've got this terrible track record in the past.
And some people would incorporate the relationship between Suggs and Chet, and they would say, you know what? That's the reason why they're going to draft him. And you go back into the history of this with Shaq at the time. He didn't want Chris Webber. He wanted Penny Hardaway. Why? Because he developed a relationship with him on the set of Blue Chips. I just don't think that's the right way to go at the end of the day, especially when you have a comp for Smith, who could be the next Kevin Durant. I'm not saying he's going to be Kevin Durant, but you look at him, 6'10", 220, can shoot, can create. Those guys don't grow on trees at the end of the day, Dave.
Well, again, you know, high school buddies, we're playing for keeps here, boys. So this isn't, you know, this isn't the AAU. We're playing for keeps here. There's a paycheck at the end of this for all of us too. So you and Chet can, because both of you are going to be rich.
Right.
So you and Chet can keep in touch with each other over the course of a season. You don't have to be in the same city on the same team.
And you know what, David? Everybody forgets that the Magic had the Rookie of the Year in Wagner. This team has
He was a
talent.
surprise. He really was. I was surprised how well he played. I really was. Again, there are parts there. Suggs is there. Wagner, the parts are there.
Is Cole Anthony
pulling them
going to help?
together.
Does Cole Anthony work in that situation, do you think?
I don't think so. No, I want Suggs to handle the ball. Anthony's got an okay game, but I want Jalen Suggs to be the guy handling the ball for me if I had the choice. So
besides the top 3 picks there, Dave, who do you see in this draft really making an impact or surprising some people, if you will?
See, this is why this is such a weird draft year. I like Banchero's game a lot. This kid Ivy. There are some good players here. But here's where you can't. It's very hard to start your team with a draft choice because, first of all, because this is the hardest game. I think this is the hardest game to acclimate to as a rookie, is the NBA. Travel, guys that are bigger and stronger than you, all those things as well too. I think there's talent in there, but it's not the kind of talent that's going to be that right now is a cornerstone for your team. Jabari Smith will be the next piece Orlando needs, but Orlando will still be at least one piece, maybe 2 pieces away from being truly competitive basketball team as well too. So this is the straw. And again, we buy into this in with basketball because we see these kids for 1 year and they dominate against inferior talent. And we think, well, this is the next, fill in the blank. And there's very few of those players that come out to do that. Very few. We can go back,
David?
going back a number of years. It's just not there. So
if I'm not mistaken, the general manager when the Warriors turned it around was Jerry West.
West is what I think West was like assistant at the time. I think Bob Myers got it because I've heard Bob Myers talk about this. Myers got the job when they drafted Steph Curry. And West was, I think, special advisor to the owner of those things as well too. So and again, you have a sort of a veteran voice there who is not afraid to tell the owner, this isn't the guy you want. And I think that's been Jerry West's role now for probably 30 years. But Bob Myers talks about, the discussions they had. And again, we get back to earlier conversations about the organization making decisions. This isn't the coach. This isn't just a general manager. The organization's got to live with what happens here. And everybody, and again, myself, I saw Steph Curry at Davidson just ruin Georgetown. And I thought, well, he'd be a good 6-man. He's a skinny kid. His ankles were always bothering him. And he's Steph Curry,
Right.
So.
And he's revolutionized the game. And I think to some people, me included, there's so much of an onus on the 3-pointer, especially during the fast break. Not everybody can be a Curry, but at the end of the day, he's definitely changed the game to a certain degree. With that being said,
exactly.
One piece away for the Miami Heat. I mean, Jimmy Butler, you got to feel bad for him. And now you have Joel Embiid. I mean, the 76ers made such a mistake with getting rid of Butler. I mean, he's just a dog. Offensively, defensively, the poor guy needs some help. Can they get that with the Joel Embiid? Is there something to that?
Well, Jimmy Butler's talked himself out of at least 3 teams in the NBA. And he said, again, I had this conversation with a friend last week that you don't think of him as a superstar, but he had the last 2 games of the Boston series. He was Jordan-esque, and I don't use that phrase lightly, comparing someone to Michael Jordan. But his last 2, he had 82 points in the last 2 games on a bad knee.
Yes.
And I think that's, again, he's a remarkable player. again, injuries again. Duncan Robinson didn't contribute a whole lot. Hero didn't contribute a whole lot. Kyle Lowry was hurt. If again, maybe a full squad, it was a difference. And again, the fact that they took Boston to 7 games says a lot about, sort of the grit that Miami has. I want Jimmy Butler on my team anytime, any place. He's probably a giant-sized pain in the ass to deal with, but on the basketball court, he gets the job done on the basketball court, and ultimately that's what you want. So,
you know what, David? I know Miss Catherine's got to be giving you the eye, like, hey, get the hell back in here. It's my retirement party. So this is my last question. I go, Peter's going to want one last one.
Yeah.
Can Boston win, or does Golden State have to shoot cold and lose?
I think Boston can win this thing even if Golden State plays well. Again, we go back to good defense.
Yes.
Part of this is, I think one of the keys for Boston, 2 keys for Boston. One is Jaylen Brown. I think if he has a good series, and he has his moments when he's like really good, I think Jaylen Brown is the key in the series. And the other key again is Boston dominating the boards. Again, Kevon Looney is really the only dependable big man that Golden State has. And Looney has played well. He's been an animal on the boards. But if Boston controls the boards, I think they can win this series. I'm picking Golden State to win because I think they'll get enough out of a number of players. But again, defense got Boston where they are right now, and defense wins championships. And they played at a championship level, and they got this by stopping Giannis, by stopping Kevin Durant, by sort of stopping Jimmy Butler. So they know what they have to do. And if they play good defense and rebound well, I think they can beat Golden State.
Good stuff, Dave Alexander. Thanks a lot for your time. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
Well, yeah, I'm one of the legends, many minions with my friend Leo Haggerty.
Love it.
Always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and look forward to doing it again in the future.
Absolutely. You'll become our NBA insider here on the Sports Web because everybody's like, you don't talk enough about the NBA. All you talk about is the Bucks. Well, there you go. Dave Alexander is the answer to that question. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Good stuff.
Give Catherine a hug for us, my friend.
Absolutely. I tell you what, well, let's go ahead and read some comments here, and then we'll get you out of here. But some really good stuff from him. He thinks Boston.
I told you he was the best.
Great. He's great. Absolutely. And we'll continue to talk NBA as the draft gets closer. And who knows, we may even have a surprise for you here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Sports Web, covering that draft live from Orlando. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go out to these comments. Rex Grossman says, Blackhawks, baby. Roger says, drugs killing them off. Not all of them. All that money whirled by the butt, and they got to be junkies. I hate it. Not all of them. Come on, you're generalizing. Rex Grossman says, background looks different. Where are you at? In Palm Harbor in the new digs here.
You're in Palm Harbor.
Palm Harbor in the Cove. I was from Boston, Massachusetts. All right. Roger says, Troy, you're not from Chicago, but I agree with you. Blackhawks. Roger again. Peter in his new crib studio. Rex again. You don't know me. Southside, Halstead, Chicago, baby. Harry the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. 1252 Chicago Sports. When Hicks is healthy, he definitely won't be a situational player. Come on, man. One of the best D tackles in the entire league. The end. Let's talk about that because we kind of mentioned it with Curtis. I mean, what were your thoughts on it? Hey, look, you draft Logan Hall. There's a reason why you get him. We heard from BA in the offseason. Now he's in that front office, how the Bucks want to get more athletic. They want to get after the quarterback. And in some periods, look, they were good against the run, but not great. That's the reason why they took a step back. So should we believe the reason why Sue is not on this team, not only because of money, but because of father time? And once again, is Hicks an upgrade in your opinion?
Peter, that's a tough one.
Thank you.
Here's why. If Sue would have came back for $10 million, I think the Bucks made a huge mistake. Only because of what he does to help Vita Vea. Sue is the most double-teamed athlete in the NFL. More than Aaron Donald, more than Hicks, more than anybody. He's double-teamed. That leaves Vita Vea one-on-one. I like those odds. And again, I guess Sue was asking for more than $10 million because is it an upgrade with Hicks? No. Is it a staying at the same level? Close. So I could go with that. But again, I saw what Sue did to that defense in terms of, man, you're not going to run the ball between the tackles.
Sure.
Because you can't block those people. And you know what? Not too many people give credit where credit is due to Will Golston. He has found a home in this 3-4. In fact, I asked Todd Bowles that. I said, hey, here's a guy that until you show up is on the bubble to make the team every year. And all of a sudden, he's thrived in there. And again, Peter, the big thing that's going to be with the Bucks is they got to figure out what to do with Tryon and Nelson if they can play.
Yeah.
And Tryon's got to play because you can't throw a number 1 pick and lose them. So, but yeah, is Hicks an upgrade? I wouldn't put the word upgrade in there, but is he a satisfactory replacement for Sue? Yes.
I think he could actually be better. And I'll tell you why. He's younger. On top of it, he's going to be extra motivated. This goes back to the Tom Brady effect. And look, you have an opportunity to win a ring. This division,
Boy, Peter, that's the whole thing.
That's
you
it.
Got a guy who's not run a ring. He's coming in.
Correct.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You bring in a guy who wants to get that ring.
And then on top of it, the usage of Hicks with the Chicago Bear defense being on the field all the time, the Bucs are not going to have to depend on him that much. So maybe that will save him from that injury situation. Your thoughts on Warren Sapp being out there, of course, one of the best defensive tackles, if not the best 3 technique of all time, taking over games and instructing this Bucs defensive line, namely a Logan Hall.
Oh, the best 3 technique tackle. In fact, he created the 3 technique tackle. And again, I always loved it how Michael Strahan got all upset that he wasn't a first-year pick. Here's the thing. Have you ever heard anybody coming out saying, I want to find the next Michael Strahan?
Right.
Have you ever heard people coming out and say, I want to find the next Warren Sapp? Every year. Every year. Warren Sapp, and I wrote this when I was with Blesto. And again, Peter, I'm going to blow my own horn, but I did this. The first year he came out, I put him down, rated him as a 0.4. The highest you can rate is a 0.1.
Okay.
He was a 0.4. And I said, he will be a Hall of Famer. He was a rotational player back then. I said, but he's the fastest fat man in football.
He really is. And we've talked about him ad nauseum about his off the field stuff. We're not going to get into that, but why haven't we saw Sapp at the next level be a coach, if you will, much like a Deion Sanders, like some other players? Could you see Sapp as a coach? Why hasn't he done more of this? Defensive line coach, defensive coordinator. He's got a mind for the game. You cannot deny his knowledge of this great NFL game.
You got to be ready to commit 20 hours a day. And that a lot of players who have their money, they know what it's like for the coaching standpoint. They know what these guys put in. They burn that midnight oil a lot of days. So that's something that, again, you don't see that because people don't need the money. They don't need to get involved in terms of, and the hardest thing for a great player to do is be a great coach because everybody's coaching is going to be worse than he is. And again, look at the guys who have become great coaches that are players. Very few were great players because they get a chance to look at what makes people great. They don't have a chance to look at what doesn't make people great.
That's it. And you go back to Michael Jordan. I mean, everybody thought he was going to be a great coach, a great owner. He was neither of those things. I think the guy that was the best at not only being a coach, but a front office person has to be Larry Bird. We're on with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty of Amped Up Sports. Let's go out to Christopher Cole says, shout out to Ryan Fitzpatrick, who retired today, played for a half a dozen teams, namely the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Greatest memory. We were in the press box for this game with the Philadelphia Eagles. And what was it? The first play of the game,
first play of the game,
5 yards to Deshaun Jackson. I mean, those first 2 games, first 3 games where he throws for 400 yards. My greatest memory of Mr. Fitzpatrick for the Bucs.
Yeah, and think about it, Peter. Every place he went, he had a kid. So I'm glad he retired. Give his wife a break.
Well, I'm telling you, that's the reason why he still got to play. I guess he's done at this point. He's trying to be on par with Phillip Rivers or Antonio Cromartie. I don't know about Rivers. Rivers, the reason why he stayed around. He has so many kids. Good for them. I mean, they got the money. Great. I got no kids. I got a dog.
That was the thing with Phillip Rivers out with the Chargers. He got no protection.
Right, exactly. And no protection at all on both sides, off the field and on the field. Good stuff there, legend. All right, let's see. North Side, baby, Wrigleyville. Harry says, little Leo, my brother. Harry the Greek, we miss you here, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow night. I promise we will have a show. I'm ready to go. I don't go to the South Side with those people. Horrible fans. Harry says, the Greek bet Golden State for the series. Easy money, folks. Are you betting on Golden State here? I want to watch this game. I want to get off here in just a little bit. But Golden State, for me, I mean, just too much experience. And I get it. Boston has a defense which will keep them close. But at the end of the day, you can't put a price on experience, right, Leo?
Yeah, and Peter, here's something that's a very little known fact. Where did Golden State finish as a defensive team in the NBA? Guess what, Peter? In the top 5. So we're not talking about a team that can't play defense. But you know what? When you score 116 on an average every night in the playoffs, hard to get 117.
Well, that's it. And the thing that would worry me about Golden State is they finished second in the league. The only team that was worse than them when it comes to turnover situation was the Houston Rockets. So, that may be something to watch out for. But look, you talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and how creative they are with their passing. That's how it is with Golden State. I mean, you'll take that because you know that there's some greatness right behind the door. Of course, we got Leo Haggerty, who's great in itself here, the legend on Amped.
Hey, Peter, one last thing before I go.
Yes.
The Chicago Blackhawks need to be grateful. You know why?
Why is that?
They don't have relegation like they do in the Premier League, because they would move the Blackhawks out of the NHL. They're that bad.
I'll tell you what, you hang out for a little bit because you interviewed Devin White. We didn't get a chance to get to those comments. You asked Devin about his aggressive nature here on the evolution of sports talk television. So we'll go out to those comments really quick. Stand by. Here we go.
Linebacker, is it hard to temper that aggression?
Yeah, it really is. Man, we were just watching a sack tape, and man, just when I'm going 100 miles per hour, you don't even have to be an athletic quarterback or something. They could just sidestep you because you're going so fast and you can't stop your momentum. So just stuff like that, man. Even everything I do, I got to play under control. I always try to use my speed as, just to make up, because I know I'm fast, but now it's got to be more brains than speed. So I'm getting better with that, and I'm steady learning.
All right, so that comes back to it. We talked about him last year. He was kind of hurt by Levante David. We find out with the Liz Frank injury only being 65%. Of course, he's a big component of that linebacking core. But now you change defensive coordinators from a Caldwell to a Larry Foote. He's talking about it. I mean, your thoughts on these comments from Mr. White?
Oh, Peter, there's no change who the defense coordinator is. He's just wearing the head coach hat. So there's going to be no change in this defense at all. It's going to be. Now, the nice thing is, and Devin White brought this out, he's being coached by a guy who played in the NFL. I think that's a huge thing. And again, when Byron Leftwich came in here with Jameis Winston, a big improvement. Everybody talks about, Jameis threw 30. He threw 36 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards. Somebody knows what they're doing when it comes to quarterback. So again, Foote's going to be able to say, hey, Devin, here's what happens in this situation, because guess what? He's been there, and that's huge.
In your opinion, you've scouted him, you've watched film on him. What's going to be the thing that takes him to that next step where we're talking about Devin White possibly receiving a $100 million contract, because it's already been predicted. And of course, White was talking about that before he got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what trait or what part of his game has to change for him to take that next level, like we saw just a couple years earlier in the postseason?
Two things: pass coverage and recognition.
Okay.
If he gets to that point where he can, again, we talked about Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly, over half the time, would be able to call out to his other 10 brothers in the same color jersey what the heck's going to happen. When he gets to that point where he can recognize and tell that front three just what's going on, and the two ends, outside linebackers, what's going on from film study and recognition, and then he can get into pass coverage. the sky's the limit for number 45. That's for sure.
I really think it comes down to, overrunning some of those lanes sometimes. You always talk about it, overrunning, just doing your job at the end of the day. It really is simplistic when it comes to defensive football, doing your job, playing your lane, not over pursuing. If he does that, I think you're exactly right. The pass coverage has always been a question when it comes.
Well, he's a downhill linebacker, Peter.
Right,
He wants to go forward. And you know what? I'd rather try to put the reins in than try to teach him how to be a downhill linebacker. I think I can, have him recognize what's going on rather than try to get him to step up and put his nose in.
That's a great segue because you did talk about horses. You also talked about Devin White's weight. Here we go here on the evolution.
When you started to gain a little weight and you jumped on your horse, did he turn around and say, time, take a little bit of this off?
Man, I wish he would have. I wish he would have. But, the horses, they carry whatever. They carry whatever you put up there. And that's kind of like they got a strong mindset. But, I ain't really say that much.
All right, there you go. Good stuff there by Devin. I tell you what, let's go ahead and go through these comments, and then we'll get the legend out of here. Asked about the differences between Caldwell and Foote here on the sports web.
So far, like you said, they both unique in their own ways, the different coaches, and I love both of them. Obviously Coach Caldwell more because he's been with me longer. But Coach Foote, he just more so like technician this, technician that, like talking route concepts, where to be. So he more so been just this to this point been so much focused on the ball, getting picks, getting turnovers. He Arsenal at that. Even when he wasn't coaching me, he always say, go watch me. When I played here, I had this. So he just been drilling it, and I've been liking it. Just coming from my background, just having just a lot of man-to-man chasing running backs type of background, all the zone stuff, the route concepts, everything is still like a walking book. I'm reading and I'm learning as I go. So, I think he's doing a tremendous job. And, I'm not nobody that can't get enough tools in my toolbox. I still want to learn and I still want to play fast and at a high level. So I'm thankful for everything he's giving me right now.
We always talk about coaches, getting the best out of their players. Do you think there's a distinct possibility, not that Mike Caldwell didn't do a good job with the linebackers, that Larry Foote could be that coach that gets Devin White to, step up and take that next step in his career to where he's elite?
Peter, sometimes it's a different voice. Look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. Tony Dungy got him to a point. John Gruden came in, different voice, different philosophy. Again, I'm not a big Gruden fan, but he did what needed to be done, won the Super Bowl because it was a different voice. And again, that may be just what, Devin White needs, somebody different to tell him, hey, maybe we need to do this, that, and the other thing.
Did I just see this correctly? It just popped up on ESPN. The Celtics and the Warriors have combined for 23 pointers in the first half. Amazing in itself. All right, let's go back out to White, talking about leadership, not only on him, but other players here on the sports web. And then we'll get you out of here with the last comment. Here we go.
We're going to take on more, but we want other guys to step up. You go watch guys like Joe, Shaq. Joe been having a great camp. OTAs so far, just watching film and hearing Coach Bowles talk about him this the person I drafted, you're bigger, stronger, faster. It's good, but at the end of the day, me and Levante, we're going to do our job. The thing is, we want to be more consistent this year, with our play, as far as linebackers and as a defense as a whole. And understand when a guy go down, we don't want to change the whole defense. Last year we was trying to cover spots. We want to just keep it rolling. We want the train to keep rolling so everybody can stay comfortable, So if you hear this, I don't want to play cover two a lot.
All right, so there you go. I don't want to play cover two a lot because we know with the middle linebacker, if you're playing the Tampa 2 or cover 2, you're responsible for the deep half of the field, if you will. And we talked about White and his struggles when it comes to coverage. I think, the thing for me, not only talking about JTS, but also talking about the defense and how they had injuries last year and how they were trying to, find themselves and they don't want to do that. So your thoughts on his comments?
You know what, Peter? If we look at the 2 times the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, the first year, one major injury, Booger McFarland. The second year, one major injury, Kappa. Just they were able to get everybody back and playing.
Yeah.
And that's huge. The problem is, Peter, the injury god doesn't smile on you 2 years in a row. So, again, we saw that right away when the cornerbacks were dropping like flies, and that was a problem because now they're playing with guys who they didn't have to plan on playing with. And, credit to them. They got to the playoffs. They had the Rams tied, and they just didn't make a play.
They didn't make a play.
That's why they call it the NFL.
And I tell you right now, Tom Brady said it best in his tweet when he came back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unfinished business. Bucs fans, listen up to Mr. Devin White here on his thoughts of this season on the evolution.
Man, it took a long time because I just knew. I kept telling everybody in the locker room, whoever win this game gonna win the Super Bowl because we both had, great balance of offense and defense. And when we was in the locker room, man, if they had cameras in there, they could tell you, I told them, we coming back. We're going to come back. The ball going to eventually go our way. And it did. And I think we capitalized on it, but at the end, we just one missed opportunity. Obviously can't dwell on it, but it's fuel to the fire for this year because we want it's Super Bowl. Right now it's Super Bowl or nothing, and we know that. And I said in front of all the cameras, that's the only goal. Like, that's what we want, and that's what we after of. And then we know we're not there yet because it's a long season, a long way to go, but that's what we fighting for.
Super Bowl or nothing. Get Live 45. I love it. I think that's the mindset at the end of the day. That window is starting to close. We know Tom Brady, this could be his last season at the end of the day with the announcements of Fox. So your thoughts on his comments?
It's definitely Tom Brady's last season in Tampa Bay. Whether it's his last season in the NFL, we don't know, but this is it. This is last season. This is the last grab for the brass ring. And again, unfinished business. That puts it plain and simple. Peter, I think the problem, and again, let's go back to the signing of Hicks. Maybe they signed Hicks at that level. Maybe Ndamukong Suh wanted $14 million.
Sure.
Maybe that $4 million is going to go over to Gronk. Instead of offering 8, they can offer him 12. Because again, I think money may be an issue with Gronk. I've said this from day one, and Pro Football Talk, they came out and said, money's an issue. I said, guess what, guys? I came out with that 4 days ago. So, yeah, it's Gronk's not going to play for peanuts. He's not going to play. You can't disrespect a guy by saying, okay, we'll give you the veteran minimum. Not for this. So, again, we'll see this down the road. I don't think we're going to see it before August at the earliest. And again, they got to keep some money in case Godwin, and I don't think he's going to be ready. They're going to need another wide receiver.
And my prediction right now, first and foremost, the only issue is Mike Florio with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tom Brady, for some reason, he's went on this tyrannical Leo word rant on this organization, on Tom Brady. You're exactly right. It probably is money, but at the end of the day, I think they will get it done. Mike Greenberg, Jason Light, they know what they're doing over there, John Spytek. And this prediction with Gage already being hurt and with Godwin not necessarily being 100%, they will sign not only Rob Gronkowski, but they will sign Julio Jones. With that being said, go ahead and promote yourself, legend, on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Well, stick around. I just put up before we went on the air our really late night Tampa Bay local roundup because, hey, the Rays played in the afternoon. They won 3-1, so we could get everything done. But we're going to have to wait for this Oilers Avalanche and Celtics Warriors, but go to Amped Up Sports. Check us out. This show is going to be on there too, so if you miss any of it, go back and check it out.
Absolutely. That's the great thing about it. There's always content on Amped Up Sports from the legend Leo Haggerty, yours truly. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and of course, Amped Up.
Take good care, brother.
All right, good stuff coming here in the future. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll read your comments, take some more phone calls. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Keep it locked.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, Get enrolled and get ready to get busy. stpeteytag.com.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football. But, of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
All right, welcome back to the Sports Web. It's been a long time, but it's good to be back. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Open phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. I promise we'll get back to regular scheduled programming next week here on The Evolution. Let's keep on reading these comments. How about the Magic at number 1 pick? Jabari Smith should be the pick, but we'll see how that turns out. Like I said, keep it locked here on the Sports Web on Amped Up Sports, The Hub, and I Love St. Pete. We may have a surprise. We may be live in Orlando for the draft. I definitely like Polio. I think his scoring is what the Magic need. I like that also. Wagner wasn't Rookie of the Year. Scotty Barnes, hands down. Roger says, buy silver and gold. FJB, let's go, Brandon. No political talk here, please.
Shut up!
Only way Boston wins is if Golden State gets turnover crazy, because they get into these funks when they turn the ball over so much. We talked about that again. Second in the NBA. Crazy to think, but it's absolutely an astute point, if you will. My favorite broadcaster, hashtag Blake. I love it. Thank you, Queen Nene. Let's go out to Roger, hashtag Blake. Thank you. Peter Blake, Mike Hughes. What's going on, man? Doing big things there. Congratulations, my friend, on all your success. Don't think I haven't been watching. I've watched you, seeing you're doing radio, you're doing other shows. Anytime you like to come on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television, the door is always open. Very smart guy when it comes to NBA. Hi, Harry says, Roger again. Stuck watching this, Malaka. And you know what? This is what I got for you.
Oh, my God. Who the hell cares?
Because this guy right here is the face that runs the place. Now, how about that? Give you a little AJ Styles right there along with Ric Flair. Got your Malaka. Very nice show. Very informative. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's fire those cannons, as we always do here. Rex says, Sports Web Thursday night SmackDown special. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Woo! We'll see if we can make a habit of it going a little bit more, as we missed a lot of time once again with the big time move to Palm Harbor. Harry, don't blaspheme the Hawks ever again. Roger says, oops, meant Leo, the Hawks ever again. Christopher says, what's the ideal weight White should play at? Great question. And that's what Leo was trying to get to. I don't think he was big. I don't think he was out of shape. Again, I think it was about the fact of Levante David not being 100%. And he is a big component to this linebacking core at the end of the day. KJ Britt has been talked about. He was talked about during this press conference. They have a lot of high expectations for him eventually, but at the end of the day, White has to take that next step. I think he's going to. And of course, Levante David has to stay healthy. Overall, this defense has to stay healthy. That's what hurt them last year. In fact, I don't think they're that bad. I just think they wanted to get more athletic, if you will, up front. And of course, get better in that back end with all the injuries that they had. Let's see here. Pay Sue, hashtag Pay Sue. Roger says Tom Brady is all elite. Quit showing this guy, and Julio is old and sucks, and this is what you get for that.
Shut up!
Let's go out to I Love St. Pete. Ed Gross. Ed, you haven't called in a while. Hi, Peter. Go Bucks. Definitely don't be a stranger here on the sports web, as we're usually on Monday and Wednesday nights. But like I said, we'll kind of turn it up a little bit. If we go an hour, if we go 2 hours, if we go 3 hours, it's all engagement here. You can engage on the phone, of course, and get on the text message, if you will. Roger says, where the hell is your background? This is the background. This is it. No more Sam Ash. We'll figure it out, but this is it right here. This is the new studio. Alexander's outside. He's happy on the porch. Was thinking about actually transferring the studio to the porch. We'll see how that works out. But right now, I kind of like this. Once again, thanks to my roommate, Zach and Josh. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Keep an eye out for Peter's perspective, as I'm going to try to get to after this final. So without, let's go out to Sean here. Yo, PB, give me a Ric Flair. Go Bucks. Woo! We shall, Sean. Absolutely. Welcome back to the evolution of sports talk television. What do you think, guys, of the Akeem Hicks move? Is it an upgrade for this defensive line? I like it. I get it. You know, he's missed a lot of games, but I think he's going to be extra motivated. I do. And I think when he's healthy, and that's a big if, but if he could stay healthy, he definitely is an upgrade over Sue. Just my opinion. Let's go out to Tom Brady here, speaking publicly for the first time since ending his NFL retirement after 40 days. According to Jenna Lane, at this stage, it's like 55 yes and 45% no. It's not 100% and 0. That's just the reality. Of course, told the Brown Table, if you watched the match last night with him, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, it's not that I'm not 100% committed. It's just as soon as I make the commitment to do it, it's like, all right. Here we go. It's like running a marathon. You can't decide 2 weeks before the marathon, hey, I'm going to start running. We got right to free agency, and I felt some pressure to do it and talk to the team and organization, and it all worked out. So there you go. And I get it. A lot of people saying, you know, they don't want Gronk back because he's not all in. He's making a decision, but at the end of the day, I think it's all about, you know, missing the workouts, and I think it could be money. Who knows? The Bucs got a plan at the end of the day. And to me, Brady wouldn't come back without Gronk. And I still think they're going to go into free agency. There's a T.Y. Hilton, there's a Julio Jones, there's other guys out there that can help this offense. My biggest concern about this offense is the health of Chris Godwin. Is he going to be 100% right away? I'm not sure. And already Russell Gage is hurt. So these other guys have to step up. They can't be just guys. They got to step up. Tyler Johnson, step up. Scotty Miller, stay healthy, step up. Jalen Darden, step up. Ciro Grayson, like he did last year, step up. And if they can, we shall see what happens. Let's see. Get a green screen. Why? I like this. What is wrong with this? You know, you're the guy that always has something negative to say, Tribal Troll. I like it. Does anybody like the background? I get it. You don't have Sam Ash on there. We don't have the little red, which is the Alstott jersey, which nobody knew at the time was just a little red. We'll fix it up. We're getting moved in. I'm unpacking. I'm an older guy. I have back problems, not only in my lower, but my upper. Trust me. I'll see you in the meeting in the morning. Good night, Alexander. Good night to you. Appreciate it, as always. Good stuff. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks to our guest, Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, former Coach Scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, and Dave Alexander of Night Sports Productions, talking NBA. Let's watch the NBA Finals game. We'll be back here Friday night. Tune in. Not only on the Sports Web YouTube channel, but also 1252 Chicago Sports, as I will be reunited, and it feels so good, of course, with Harry the Greek Professional, handicapper extraordinaire, and Game 2. Let's go, Lightning. And Lightning fans, don't jump off the skyway. It's going to be okay. They still have Stamkos. They still have Kucherov. They may have Point. And, of course, in my opinion, and I don't think this is far-fetched, they still have the greatest goalie in the league today. 3 things. We'll wrap it up. Bring the passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Where's Uncle Peter? I call him.